Hey, today we're going to be exploring some of the best poses to practice with a yoga wheel. Now, I will use the yoga wheel for a couple of the warm-ups that we're doing just to kind of show you how you can play around with it and get a little bit creative. But in my opinion, the real main purpose of this yoga wheel is really for back bending, shoulder opening and chest opening. So the first couple of things we're doing are more going to be warm-ups. So we're going to do a little bit of warm-up for the core, a little bit of gentle opening in the hip flexors, so that when we then move into the back bends with the wheel, that you're already warm and you can kind of practice along here. Other ways you can kind of use this yoga wheel is right at the end of a yoga practice. So again, when the body's nice and warm, you can kind of lie on it and have that as a way to finish your practice before taking some shavasana. So you can come to begin with to lie down on the back. You can have your wheel set out, and if it's the first time you're using it or you're not so confident of using it, it will move a little, but hopefully with a kind of nice firm yoga mat, that will be a little bit minimal. Your left leg is going to come down onto the wheel, so you can just kind of rest the ankle over the edge. You can bend your right knee, and we're going to come down to lying on the back. Now your left leg can extend, so we're kind of actively extending the left leg, pressing it down onto the wheel. Right leg extends down to the floor, and then we're going to inhale, reach up with the right leg, and exhaling, right leg lowers down. We'll do this a few times, so inhaling and exhale. You might just let that leg hover rather than touch completely down. So as you drop the leg down, you just let the heel cover. Trying to keep your lower back heavy throughout. We'll do this a couple more times. And then the next time the right knee comes in, you're going to bend the right knee, open the leg out to the side, extend the leg, and then inhale, right leg comes up, bend the knee, exhale, open. And you see your left leg is kind of just being heavy here. You are kind of using some strength in the leg to hold the wheel in place. So there is a little bit of stability. But like I said, most of the focus right now is a little bit more on the core and the hips. So the yoga wheel isn't really getting into its maximum use right yet. We'll do this a couple more times on this side. Just creating a little bit of heat as well as stability. And then from here, you can inhale, come all the way up to sitting. And then we're going to change sides. So you can just shift the wheel. Right leg comes over the wheel, left leg is long. We'll lower all the way back down to the ground here. You can work on extending the right leg away. And then inhale, left leg comes up. And exhale to lower, heel hovers. Inhale and exhale. And we'll do this a few times. We're trying to keep the belly a little firm again, keep the lower back nice and heavy, particularly as the leg is of the left side is lowering down, so that becomes a little bit more challenging. And then next time the leg comes in, you can bend the knee, open the leg out. Inhale and exhale. Doing this a few times. Leg could be bent as you come in to your chest if you prefer. So 2 options here. Doing this one more time. And then we'll inhale, come up. So if you preferred, you could bend that left knee. And then from here, we're going to come forward to our low lunge, Anjaneyasana. So we're using again the yoga wheel a little bit for support. The right foot is going to step forward. The thigh can be resting on the wheel. And you can sort of see with the left leg, you can walk the toes a little back. And then you can either keep the toes tucked or you can untuck the toes. So see what feels comfortable here. And we're going to again be lifting a little forward and back. So to begin with, you can, if it's comfortable, just sink down so weight is heavy in the wheel. And then you might inhale, lift a little up. So activate here through the front of your left hip. And exhale, sink down. Coming up and back down again. Doing this a couple more times. And then you can pause a couple of breaths. Hips opening, you might be sinking a little down to the wheel if that's comfortable. If you preferred, hands could be a little forward here. And then we're going to change from here side, so you can walk your right foot out using the help of the hands. Change side, so left leg comes forward over the wheel. Press the thigh down, walk your right foot back. Again, you could untuck the toe if you like here. So we're first sinking again our hips forward, so we're leaning towards the wheel. And then we'll inhale, lift a little up. And exhaling to sink down. So there is definitely something to be said for using this yoga wheel for this kind of more stability and balance. But like I say, the back bends coming next are really my favorite. Do this a couple more times. Next time you sink down, you can pause here, really lengthen through the front of your right hip this time. If you preferred, again, you could drop the hands down so you're leaning a little forward. And then we're going to slowly come out, so slowly walking the foot, gently coming out with your yoga wheel. And from here, we're ready. We're kind of a bit warmed up for our back bends. So you're keeping the wheel again about kind of halfway back through your mat. We're going to come to sit down with the legs bent, so feet are flat on the floor. And you're seeing if you can keep the wheel pretty close. Hands hold, so kind of thumb and fingers come in. And then if it's comfortable, rather than the elbows drawing out, see if you can draw the elbows also a little in. So you see, as you draw the elbows, as you draw the elbows in, we're also opening the front of the chest here. So you can gradually lean a little back here, keeping a nice firm grip of the wheel. And sort of the head can stay in line with the rest of the spine. So we're first just easing a little back here. This felt quite intense for the shoulders. You could have the elbows a little bit more out and over time work on drawing them in. Now you can choose to stay here for a few breaths if that's comfortable. Other option is to press into the ground with your feet. So you gently lift a little up through the hips. And then the arms can be one by one coming back. So you might hold the back of the wheel if there's the space. If this doesn't feel good and the head needs extra support, you could be holding under the head here or being where we were before, so hands kind of more on the inside. And hips could be a little lower, so this is a bit less intense. Or you could be lifting the hips up again if the hands were behind. You could be leaning a little back. And the nice thing here again is you can kind of ease your way in and out. So if this felt intense, arms again could be a little more out to the side. And there's definitely at the beginning this kind of trust you have to build between yourself and the wheel. So focus on keeping the rest of the body nice and secure here, nice and heavy. If you were holding the wheel and you wanted to kind of go a little deeper, you could see how it feels to drop gently down, but do be careful here of your spine. So if this doesn't feel appropriate, you can stay more up. Again, arms could be out or sort of more closer towards your hips. And then we're going to slowly come out. So be gentle with your neck here. See if you can slowly, if the hips were lifted, drop the hips back down. And then you might support the back of the head, at least with one hand. The other hand might be on the wheel, and you can slowly come up here. Throughout, you want to keep the belly super firm. So that's why we did a little bit of core work at the beginning to kind of protect the lower back. And you might just start coming in literally for 5 or 10 breaths. And then over time, if you're getting comfortable, you can kind of extend that for longer. Another version I'd like to show, so this is also quite interesting version, is coming from Virasana. So the knees are in front. So let's come a little forward. You can be sitting either with the hips in the middle or hips on the heels. Same idea at the beginning. You can kind of hold the wheel, lean a little back. Hips could lift a little here. And then you could reach again the arms a little back. And just opening again the chest. Other option, arms a little out to the side here. And the idea is you want to find somewhere you can kind of be comfortable and feel supported, and then stay there for a few breaths. If this variation doesn't feel appropriate, either for your knees, particularly for the knees or ankles, and you did want to try a different version with the legs, you could also try feet together, knees apart. That's also quite nice. So we're kind of more working on external rotation rather than internal rotation. Again, setup is the same for all of these. So once you've got the basics, for one, you can kind of experiment a little with what you do with the legs. So again, hands are first kind of gripping. We're finding that support. Arms can reach a little back. They could hold the back of the head here. Or you could walk the arms down. Now, long arms here definitely helps. So head might drop a little as you lean back. Great. Again, coming out is kind of the most challenging bit. So hold the back of the head, inhale, gently coming up. And then you could re-hold the wheel, come gently up. And then just releasing. And we'll finally just finish with a nice counter pose, a forward fold again. Just because we've got the wheel, we can use it, don't necessarily need it here, but wheel can be in between the legs, and you can kind of just fold so chest rests a little on the wheel. Hands could support the head here, or arms could be alongside the body. If you're feeling a bit more flexible, that wheel could be a little more forward. Or if you're really wanting that more extra support, you could actually have the wheel kind of on top of you. And there's a very gentle drop of the head and round of the back. So we'll stay here for another 3 breaths or so. And when you're ready from here, you can gently come back up out of the pose and come back up to sitting again. So thanks for joining me. I hope you found this helpful to see how you can put either a short practice together to really work on that back bending and opening of the chest with the yoga wheel. or also just use those back bends with the yoga wheel at the end of another practice. If you're wanting to get more tips of practicing yoga at home, check out the free resource I've got. The link is down below. And I'll see you in the next practice.